Atala Fayumi has been involved in the weekly border protests since the beginning. His right leg had to be amputated after he was shot by an Israeli sniper last April. As soon as he was able, he started going back again every week. But this weekend's first anniversary, he says, is different.
I'm not going anywhere. Why should I go? On Saturday, there are going to be a lot of people killed.
Tensions have risen again this week after a rocket fired from Gaza hit a family home north of Tel Aviv, injuring 7. The Israeli airstrikes that followed destroyed the offices of Hamas's political leader, among dozens of targets. Israel has built up ground forces on the Gaza border, threatening further military action.
All Israelis should know that if a comprehensive campaign is required, we will enter it strongly and after we have exhausted all of the other options.
Those options centre on Egyptian mediation towards a deal understood to involve calm on the border and an end to rocket fire in exchange for an easing of Israeli economic restrictions and the expansion of a UN job program.
The seeds of the tension and confrontation still existed in Gaza Strip, unless the bigger problem of Gaza, which is a political end of the occupation and end of the siege, I expect that there will be more rounds of confrontation.
The Great March of Return protests began on the 30th of March last year, after a call to action against the Israeli siege by civil society groups in Gaza. Since then, Gaza's health ministry says Israeli snipers have shot and injured more than 6,500 protesters, killing more than 250 people, children, journalists and medical workers among them. A UN investigation found that while some protesters used violence, the vast majority were unarmed and peaceful. It stated that Israel had no justification for using live bullets, and there were reasonable grounds to believe it had committed serious violations of human rights. For 12 months now, the protests in these border areas have been an expression of the sheer desperation felt so widely in Gaza, but increasingly in evidence has also been Hamas's ability to dial them up and dial them down. Now, with the Israeli army staging a major show of force on the other side of this fence, Gaza's ruling faction has to decide how to calibrate this weekend's events in order to get what they most want, major concessions out of Israel. And Hamas is under pressure to get results. Earlier this month, protesters went to the streets instead of the border over price rises and tax hikes. Hamas security put the demonstrations down with beatings and arrests. At the core of those protests, the same feelings of despair and frustration that for a year now, and despite all the risks, have brought thousands to the border week after week. Harry Fawcett, Al Jazeera, Gaza.